But let's set the tone first with understanding this trademark thing you have in psychoastrology. What is psychoastrology as compared to astrology itself?
Sure. For me, psychoastrology was a term that I created to simply demarcate where our personal astrology intersects our psychology. And it's kind of fun. I love words. My favorite book is the dictionary. I just think words are so fun to play with. And to me, it just seemed just really cool psychoastrology to help understand this intersection between our unconscious, as you referenced, Casper, and our conscious minds, and that we can have deeper awareness. I use meditation as a tool to raise my awareness. I spend a lot of time in meditation. I find it to be the number one tool to really help harmonize ourselves with the solution. And it's different than how I was taught. It's different than I think a lot of how the world operates outwardly, is like you go out and you achieve and you just grit it out and you do it, and success may or may not come. And that's certainly one way people can live that way. I found it to be being a person with Chiron and Aries, which speaks to a core wounding and my sense of value and worth. I was one of those individuals with lots of personal success, lots of awards, lots of public recognition for my accomplishments, establishing a nonprofit, receiving a U.S. patent for an invention to help people with disabilities blow glass from their wheelchairs. And yet, Casper, I never felt good enough. And it was like really messing me up in my head. Like, when am I what do I have to achieve to finally feel like I'm good enough? And it was really depleting. And I feel like I'm talking to a lot of you that are in that pattern. It's a thought pattern of believing that it's what we do is what makes us feel good enough or better. But I realized it's who I am, that if I never accomplished another thing, I am good enough. And when I learned that Chiron in the sign of Aries speaks to this vulnerability in my self-esteem and learning to value myself separately from accomplishment, separately from what I do, and more of what brings me peace. I love being in nature. I love being in the ocean, spending more time there, and really letting my mind stop overworking and letting my body experience nature, the joy that it brings me. And I started to heal this part of myself that felt like she needed to accomplish endlessly to be valued by others even. And that love is a bunch of work, that I can release that pattern. And I replaced it with a stronger inner knowing of my value and worth, and just getting comfortable with allowing life to come to me. So that's kind of an example of this, what my book will help you understand based on where Chiron is in one of the 12 signs. It speaks to, like, Chiron in Taurus is about wounding by neglect. And this could have been neglect. You might have been sexually abused. Your caretaker might have had an addiction that kept them from tending to your emotional or physical needs. And you might be neglecting yourself even, and caring for yourself. So it can be so valuable to learn what this area is so that you can really focus your attention there instead of feeling like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. One of the things I picked up in the book is that you were being vulnerable within it. You spoke in that little segment about not having your shit together for a while.
Right.
And I appreciate that, because I think a lot of people, when they write a book, they need to be an expert on it and show that they are almost perfect in some ways about writing this book. Otherwise, why would you read a book by someone who's not all there? It's almost like you're taking advice from someone who's, has flaws, but we all do. You said we're not perfect. We all have to, I think, approach things without that level of perfection. And again, go back to that idea of forgiveness. But so many of us in today's society deal with grief, deal with guilt, deal with fear, right? It's through this pandemic, and I think through these times, those have been uplifted,